I'm gonna be completely honest, there were a few moments where I thought buying this Lamborghini may have been a mistake, but not for the reasons that you think. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time tuning into LamboView, what I do here is teach you how to go from a Honda Civic to a Lamborghini. I talk about the ownership, what it's really like to own a Lamborghini. So if you want to learn everything about that, subscribe to the channel. I put out content every single week. It's been about 6 months since I bought this car, and before that I was driving a Honda Civic, I was saving, I was investing, still doing all those three, but doing everything right financially. So going from that to this is a pretty big jump. But let's go ahead and unpack this real quick. So number one is going to be the pressure. So when you get a Lamborghini, when you start driving it, you're going to have all eyes on you. Whenever you're on the highway, even if people just know that you have the car, you're going to feel this weird type of pressure where it's like, oh, this is somebody who drives a Lamborghini. They have to be somebody who is kind of on point. This does kind of tie back to your self-confidence in a nutshell too, but you will feel that type of pressure no matter what. So you're going to feel a type of pressure of being financially responsible. You just know that you bought something huge. Again, you got people watching you, and then when you make a move like this, you definitely feel it. Whenever I first got my Lamborghini, the first couple months of owning it, I definitely felt this a whole lot more. So I definitely felt it kind of financially, not in the sense of struggling with financials, but it was definitely a big jump just paying for a Honda Civic 10 months ago, and then your car payment jumps up by 5 times, and then now you have a bigger payment. But it wasn't the financial stress, but it was the stress of making that big jump. So yeah, at first it did feel a little bit weird, but I will say that after about 4 or 5 months of making those bigger payments compared to my Honda Civic, that pressure did start to fall off a bit, and then now it's very, very comfortable. But I will say that that type of pressure is something that everyone should kind of deal with. That's the same kind of pressure that people get whenever they're just doing something completely new or taking a big step in their life. So I guess you could call it some healthy pressure. But yes, you do get people, you do get eyes on you, you get a lot of people talking behind your back, not in like a bad way or anything, but the standard of yourself does go up a bit. So it leaves a bit of a lesser room to make mistakes. You kind of feel this pressure of always trying to be on point and kind of match the personality of the car, if that makes sense. So you do get a little bit of that pressure, hence why it's always good to just have a Honda Civic in your back pocket so you can actually just have some breathing room. This could affect anyone, no matter who they are. I personally live 2 different types of lifestyles. The one where I like to just be on point and be really sharp throughout the day, but then at other times I prefer to just not keep eyeballs on me and just like to blend in with the crowd. A lot of that has to do with being an introvert, so I guess you could say that that's why. You do feel a small pressure of costs that may come up initially. So one of the biggest pressures that I felt about the car was not necessarily the cost of the repairs that I'd be getting, but it was always this feeling of, oh, what could go wrong with the car? You start reading things online. I will say a big thing, if you are somebody who's considering to get a supercar, is to make sure you get one that's quite reliable as your very first car. Because me knowing the fact that the Huracans are very reliable did help a lot with this, because I've heard a lot of stories with supercars, especially if you're buying them used, that the costs that you would get to make repairs on these cars or fix little things can add up over time. For me, I knew that the Huracan was reliable, but probably the biggest pressure that I felt was the charge of the battery. So I personally love to drive my car. I don't like to let it hibernate. I use the car for content, as you can see. So I typically don't really trickle charge the car, but initially I wasn't really sure how long the battery on the car would last if the car was just sitting around. I thought that this was going to be something where I'd have to drive the car every 3-4 days to make sure that the battery didn't go flat. But from what I've learned is, even in the wintertime, even if you don't drive the car for at least a week and a half to 2 weeks, the car actually starts up completely fine. But that was a big thing about the Lambo that I've actually loved, is the fact that the battery on the car can hold a lot. From what I've heard online, Ferraris is not the case. Those cars, whenever you're not using the vehicle at all, you do have to trickle charge those cars each and every time, which can get a little bit annoying. I would say another pressure about the car itself directly was how low the car is. So whenever you're driving the Lambo, if you're going to an uncharted area or a place you're not familiar with, one of the things that does kind of get to you a little bit is if you're gonna get to a large speed bump that may be on the road or a really steep hill, the Lambos are very, very low. And one of the biggest things that I'm super glad that the Lambo has is a front lift. So that front lift has saved me so many times from getting scrapes and scraps beneath the car. That thing is a complete lifesaver, and it does make driving the Lambo a whole lot more stress-free. So if you live in an area that may have a lot of potholes, a lot of steep hills, so on and so forth, having a supercar that's so low is one thing to kind of watch out for. But as you get a feel for it, as you learn to drive over bumps at an angle, that really does help a whole lot. But yes, the attention is a big one. So one of the things is whenever you're driving the Lambo on the highway, you probably don't really see it in POVs like this, but I can see it quite a bit. Whenever you're going at a quite steady speed where people can pull out their cameras and take pictures, it's definitely going to happen. I don't really see cameras or phones as much sticking out the window, but you can definitely see here and there where some vehicles may just be driving past you at a nice steady pace, that if you look into cars that are passing you, you're definitely going to see a phone there, a camera there of you just being filmed, which that does come off as a little bit of pressure at first. Obviously you can't be picking your nose, but just having that pressure of cameras being on you does kind of get you a little bit at first, but this is something that you do get used to afterwards. Sometimes you just want to drive and not be seen, but obviously with the Lambo it doesn't work like that, and that's completely fine. One of the biggest things is the reality of the car is really cool. So what I mean by that is that the car itself has, knock on wood, no major issues, no breakdowns, no crazy expenses. The car in the last 6 months has been quite normal, to be completely honest. I think the only minor issues that I've had was just a little scrape on the bottom for, again, whenever you hit those speed bumps or steep hills. Nothing major, but just small little tiny baby scrapes here and there. At one point, I think the back window just started kind of tweaking a little bit, but that was also on me because this is a convertible top, and I don't think that I had fully closed the convertible top, so it was being a little bit weird there. But yeah, the Lambo Huracán has been extremely reliable, way more than people think. So was it a mistake? It was absolutely not. There's so many awesome things about this vehicle that not only the car itself brings you, but it's a lot more things around you that really start to amplify, and that could be for the good, it could be for the bad. It just all depends on how you see it. You're gonna get a little bit of mixed reactions. You're gonna get some people who just like to tailgate you because they're haters, but then the majority of the time you're gonna get to meet some really cool people who are actually inspired by the vehicle, and that honestly is one of the best part. I will say that the network that you build after getting the vehicle is a big one. You're going to meet a lot of new people, and the best part is the mindset that you get whenever you get into a Lamborghini is a really rare one. So obviously a Lamborghini is a really rare car. You have to have different kinds of disciplines, different kinds of knowledge. You have to be somebody who's been completely against the grain your entire life. And then the really cool part is once you meet other Lamborghini owners, it's almost like you kind of meet the same people who had to go through that journey. So it's a really cool camaraderie that you get to build with all those other people too. So I'll say for that big reason, it's not a mistake at all. It's a really good networking tool. It's a really good car in general that's just absolutely fun to drive. It's absolute chaos whenever you drive it, and then you downshift the car and go flying through a tunnel. I will say one of the biggest things is me being able to use the car to do this channel as well, because obviously the Lambo is the face of the channel. So the really cool part about it is that I'm able to make content with the vehicle and share my thoughts to the rest of the world and help change some lives out there. But because once you grow into it, it stops feeling crazy and it just becomes a part of your life. So was it a mistake? No. The only thing that felt uncomfortable was the jump going from a Honda Civic to a Lamborghini in the 10 months. But because you grow into it, it stops feeling crazy and it just becomes a part of your life. Thank you all for watching. Drop your questions right down below. I get back to everyone. See you all for the next one.